Welcome back to Rogue Trader. Let's go immediately in here and choose an archetype here for level 16. So we can choose from Assassin. Assassins are masters at identifying the slightest vulnerabilities of priority targets and dispatching them by any means necessary. Core focus, high damage, dodge, and dodge reduction. Threat elimination, hit and run. Vanguard, an unstoppable force on the front line and a beacon for their allies. Even when facing extremely heavy fire, a Vanguard only grows stronger in the crucible of battle. Core focus, frontline leader, defensive support, temporary wounds, absorbing attacks, and attack redirection. Arc Militant. An Arc Militant is a formidable master of warfare and able to blend various weapons and styles mid-combat, be it melee or ranged or anything in between. The Arc Militant is best at it and becomes stronger and stronger with each second in battle. Core focus, versatility, large area attacks, personal buffs, weapon set rotation, crowd control. Honestly, I'm not super interested in swapping between melee and ranged. I think Vanguard is too tanky. I think we're gonna go Assassin here. Seek the opening. The Assassin sees a single opening for each enemy on the enemy's sides. Whenever the Assassin hits an opening, excluding over penetration, they deal an additional 10% of target's max wounds damage. After an attack, the opening is moved to the opposite side of the enemy. Openings of each enemy that were not hit by the assassin during the assassin's turn are moved to a random side of that enemy at the start of the assassin's next turn. Okay. It's a bit weird, but I definitely think we go assassin. And then I think Abelard here is gonna go Vanguard. Unyielding Beacon. Each attack against the Vanguard grants them 1 stack of Unyielding Beacon. Each stack increases their resolve by 1 up to a maximum of 15. All allies in a 2-cell radius around the Vanguard gains a 1/5 of that bonus. Temporary wounds applied to the Vanguard now stack, but only remain stacked until the start of the Vanguard's turn. At the start of their turn, their remaining temporary wounds are reduced to the largest amount granted by one applied effect. If the remaining number of temporary wounds is less than the number of stacks of Unyielding Beacon, it becomes equal to the number of those stacks, even if the Vanguard has no temporary wounds at the start of their turn. I think Heinrichs is also gonna go Vanguard. So these two can select the same as well. It's Grand Strategist, Bounty Hunter, and Assassin. I don't think we're gonna have 2 Assassins. I think Grand Strategist... Masters of battlefield positioning for themselves and their allies. The Grand Strategist is able to increase the battle effectiveness of their party by designating and strengthening important parts of the battlefield. Core focus, battlefield control, ally buffs, unique utility, enemy debuffs. I think this is very suitable to Igira. Or Idira. Igira. In some other game. Combat tactics. The Grand Strategist analyzes the battlefield and can create specific areas providing bonuses to all allies, including the Grand Strategist. Frontline, backline, and rear. In the first turn, all 3 areas can be created. In the following turn, only one of them can be created. All areas can be moved with the corresponding abilities and cannot overlap. If there are 2 or more Grand Strategists in the party, the combat tactics area are common for all the Grand Strategists, and the highest intelligence bonus and fellowship bonus of all the Grand Strategists is used. There cannot be more than 1 frontline, backline, or rear on the battlefield. Regardless of the abilities used, the Grand Strategist always acts first in combat. I mean, that's pretty good. She's gonna be Grand Strategist. Master Tactician, always in the thick of battle. Using their leadership and combat prowess, Master Tacticians are able to harness momentum of their party and enhance combat effectiveness of their allies and themselves. Core focus, scaling with party success. Long-term single target buffs, momentum versatility. Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunters are methodical killers who leave trails of dead bodies in their wake. A bounty hunter chooses their next target before the previous one has even realized it's dead. Core focus, critical hit, defense reduction, killing priority target, repositioning. Hunt down the prey. The bounty hunter may mark an enemy in combat as prey. Whenever the bounty hunter kills a target marked as prey, they gain a stackable bonus until the end of combat. The bonus depends on the enemy difficulty tier, the Roman numeral on the enemy's icon, 1 to 2, 25% of the bonus. Bounty hunter's maximum wounds as temporary wounds. 3 to 4. Plus 5 times prey difficulty tier percent critical damage and 2 times prey's difficulty tier critical hit chance until the end of combat. 5 to 7 is both. Hunt down prey has 3 charges at the start of combat. Dude, that's a really strong ability. And Pascal can choose from all of these. Honestly, I think we go Bounty Hunter with this guy as well. Okay. Cool. Now we need to loot a bit. Now we need to loot a little bit. There's a lot of loot here. Okay. It's kind of weird, but I'll take it. Nothing there. Definitely something up there. There was something there as well. Okay. Ugh.
I always keep my options open.
Cool. Let's go here as well. It doesn't look like there's anything. Let's quickly go over any items that we might have looted. So, Rebel Sniper Rifle. This is definitely slightly stronger, even though the range is slightly worse. So we're gonna get that. 'I think we got one of these. I think, oh, we already had one. So 4 maximum wounds. And then when Veil Degradation is above 15, 10 toughness. And then each round the wearer regenerates wounds. For the heretical rank. $15. I mean, why not? Honestly. Why not? Did we get any melee weapons that are worth considering? 8 to 12. Oh, I can actually just type melee. That's pretty convenient. So we did get the life draining sword, but I can't use this. And I don't think Jabs can use it either. She would be able to use it. How do I know? This is pretty good. So it's 5 willpower and power level 6. So this should do way more damage, right? Or maybe it's... Oh, this says damage 11. I don't know about that. But this also has 10 willpower. So we're gonna go with that. Okay. Let's go to the ship. Or we get stuck on the loading screen, maybe? No? Okay. Thanks be to the Emperor. You're alive, your lordship. We are most gratified by your return, and the crew is full of zeal to carry out any orders you may have. Before anything else, I will hear an account of what happened to the system's sun. The Voxmaster falters. Lord Captain, we saw a number of ships approach the sun, black creations of inhuman make, amalgams of sharp angles and edges. They surrounded the star, and then... My apologies, but I struggled to find words that could describe that terrible sight. The Xenos made the sun vanish into the void. The interrogator closes his eyes and grimaces. Drukhari. You see Abelard's expression change, as if a shadow has suddenly fallen over him. He rubs his temple warily, as if we did not have enough troubles on our hands already. Xenos, enemies of humanity? Henrix nods. A breed of the Alderi, the most cruel and devious of their kind. The design of their ships matches the description provided by Voxmaster. Like all Xenos, the Drukhari are a blight on the face of the galaxy, but their technological superiority is indisputable. They abhor and fear warp sorcery, which is why they rely on creations of their twisted intellect. And many of those creations are capable of things that may seem akin to sorcery to the unenlightened eye. The theft of a sun is one example of what they are capable of. Are the Xenos in league with Aurora's cultists? We can rule out that possibility. The Drukhari would never ally themselves with the Arch-Enemy's worshippers. If I had to name one thing that humanity and those Xenos have in common, it would be a shared loathing for warp corruption. Heinrichs glances around. The situation calls for immediate action, Jabs. We can continue this conversation later if you so wish. But right now, he gestures at the deck teeming with tumultuous activity. I believe you should assume command. What's the current situation on board? The navigator's sanctum is no longer empty, but the warp engine is still refusing to obey the engine sears. Without it, we cannot perform a warp jump. Pascal's voice buzzes anxiously from his vox. It may be angry, or perhaps it's lamenting the injuries it had suffered. I will immediately initiate preparations for a prayer service. If the Omnissiah grant me comprehension, I will appease the machine spirit of this vessel. What's happening on the planet right now? Our augur operators are reporting numerous uprisings and other manifestations of the Arch-Enemy's powers at various locations on the planet. Based on the fragments of communication picked up by our Vox operators, there's practically no resistance being offered by the Governor's forces. Millions of people are converting to the blasphemous Final Dawn cult en masse and assembling in prayer circles. Do we have any hope of retaking the planet? I fear that Rykad Minoris is lost. The situation is deteriorating by the minute. We must leave the system as soon as possible. However, there are still people on the planet who have not succumbed to heresy, and who are worthy of rescue. Besides the small number of our own shuttles, we also have the shuttles salvaged from the starport. The dark eyes of the Sister of Battles flash. We must save as many as we can. This has all happened for a reason. Saint Argenta, whose name I carry with reverence and trepidation, is famed for saving the people of a dying world through the power of prayer. The God Emperor himself sent a star from the heavens that lifted the saints and her followers up to the sky, away from corruption and death. We must do as she did, direct all our efforts to saving those people who at this moment look to the heavens in hope of salvation. The lives of peasants are of little value. Our prime objective is to save the Holy Relic, the miraculous fusion reactor and the electro-priests who guard and tend to it. Abelard furrows his brows. Every moment we spend in proximity to a dying world, we are putting ourselves at risk. Your life, Lord Captain, is far more valuable than all of Rykad Minoris. The von Valancius dynasty cannot be allowed to perish. And so, lamentable though it is, we must rule out the idea of any evacuation. Heinrich's eyes, like two deep, dark pools, are resolutely fixed on you. The world is doomed, and its inhabitants along with it. The disappearance of the star was the final nudge towards death. The finale of the cult of the Final Dawn's plans. I once witnessed a similar event. A world that had surrendered to the servants of the Arch-Enemy and permitted corruption to enter too deep. At this moment, millions of people are bowing down before those who promised them salvation, and they are willingly giving their souls to chaos. A sacrifice great enough to bring forth a demon world. Our only hope of stopping this process is to retreat to a safe distance from the planet and conduct targeted bombing of the Electro-Priest's monastery. If we blow up the reactor, a thermonuclear reaction will follow. The world's oxygen will evaporate, killing off the entire biosphere. In doing this, we'll save millions of souls from a fate far worse than death. And we will save Rykad Minoris from becoming an outpost of the Arch-Enemy. Whatever fate you choose for this world, I urge you to make haste, Lord Captain. The planet is burning in raging flashes of crimson and purple. I can see it even from orbit, as I do see that the storm is already upon us. With every moment that we waste, it grows even more difficult and perilous to steer the ship through the warp's turbulent currents. I'm with the lady on this. Enough talking, we need to get out of here while we still can. Okay. We're gonna follow the dogmatic view. Set an optimal course and carry out an orbital strike on the Electropriest Monastery. Rykad Minoris must fall. Yes, Lord Captain. I will immediately inform the navigation and artillery decks of the impending maneuver. Heinrichs inclines his head. The right choice, Lord Captain. May the sacred Exterminatus cleanse this veil of corruption. The bridge is in upheaval. The Technomat's prayers mix together in a senseless cacophony, while servitors work hastily to remove a hardened crust of sacred unguents from the warp engine's components. In the middle of all this tumult stands Pascal, with a data slate clutched in his hands, seemingly disconnected from the flurry of activity around him. Magos, if you do not bring this situation under control, we will all perish. Act swiftly. Pascal shoots you, a look of fierce pride, and says with gravity, "You're right, this is my temple." His vox booms with power. Tech comrades, heed my instruction. The mayhem immediately subsides, and the crew's action fall into some indiscernible logic. The Omnissiah's servants start working in sync, and the binaric clamor becomes a symphony of reports, which the Magus coordinates like a skillful conductor. Admirably done, Pascal. The Omnissiah guides me. The prayers of the tech priests surrounding the cogitator almost drown out the sounds of the bustling bridge behind you. Pascal, porting intently over the data slate in his hands, extends a mechandrite towards you. Please take your place at the cogitator, Lord Captain. The huge machine in front of you is lit with dozens of vidscreens and hundreds of lumens. The blinking lights and endless rush of symbols and digits on the green background make your eyes water, and a vague sense of alarm simmers in the depths of your mind. The typical reaction of a layperson when confronted with the magnitude of the Omnissiah's creation. Among the numerous controls you see the mouth of a cyber gargoyle, the same as the gate to the Warren chamber. Pascal's voice becomes imbued with imperious force. Servants of the machine god, heed my command. Acolytes, prepare the incense instrumentation for the liturgy of machine spirit propitiation. Senior technomants, recite the prayer to generate a current data report. Operations will be marked with the campaignological protocol Omnissiah Rejoice. I must inform you that for the purposes of safety, complete reassembly of the warp sextant and updating of its data smith blessings are required. If this is not done, then at launch the volume of aggregate calculation errors could result in the destruction of the data crypts. But we do not have 100 hours at our disposal. We must omit this procedure. Pascal looks down at the data slate in his hands. A minor deviation from the rite of operation for the sake of appeasing the spirit. What must I do? Place your hand inside the throat of the cogitator guardian, the cyber gargoyle which has been assigned to guard the forbidden data crypts. The dynastic blood extracted from your veins will serve as a key to the data core where the machine spirit dwells. To it we will offer your prayers. To it we will offer our prayers so that we may bypass the protective protocol for defective connections and launch the warp sextant. Pascal's voice grew quieter. The laws of the Omnissiah know no exceptions, and so, in this ritual I will remain at your side to placate the wrathful machine spirit, in whose abode you will be intruding. Follow my liturgies, Lord Captain, and we may receive his blessing. Let's place our hand in the cyber gargoyle's mouth. The metal jaws clamp down on your hand, breaking your delicate corporeal sheath and releasing a warm, red liquid into its gullet. At the same moment, the image on the vid screen before you changes. Connecting, connecting, connecting. Success. By my authority, I revoke the inviolability protocol of the warp engine. One of the cogitator's vid screens turns red. Pascal sees this and raises his hand, signaling the rest of the tech priests, then withdraws a connector from his sleeve and connects it to the machine. Servant of the Omnissiah, make now the offering of the cleansed data crypts to the machine spirit so that it may be filled with their true and calibrated data. May the Omnissiah have mercy on our souls. In meek solemnity, the acolytes offer up the cleansed data crypts to the warp engine, one after another, repeating prayers of exaltation. After anointing the contacts with the sacred unguents, Pascal inserts them in the cogitator's slots. Your head begins to spin from the holy censer's foul-smelling clouds of smoke and from the loss of the blood that the cyber gargoyle continues to drink from you, and the world swims before your eyes. Let this mechanism awaken in renewed purity. Pascal enters a sequence of commands and raises his head, watching the vid screen. Suddenly he stops dead. No. His fingers fly over the command runes, entering command after command. His mechandrites clicking their pincers, pull at one lever after another. The vid screens fill with strings of symbols, completely incomprehensible to you, but clearly conveying something to the Megos. What's happening? After a few seconds, one of the data crypts mounted on the cogitator begins to emit sparks. A moment later, another data crypt does the same. The next bursts into flame and gives off foul-smelling smoke. Around you, the Omnissiah servants back off from their prayers, and someone bursts into frantic pleading. Pascal mournfully grates out. The massive errors in the warp sextant calculations is destroying the data repositories. The offering did not appease the ship's spirits. The warp engine cannot be filled with the motive force. We're trapped. A moment later, the Megos continues uncertainly. Perhaps an alternative Ryzan protocol, or an emergency launch of the auxiliary coils. The tech priests bend over the cogitator, but something in his pose and movements reveal his desperation. While the other vid screens are filled with more and more strings of symbols, the monitor in front of you blinks and its static image changes. Pascal is too engrossed in his ritual to notice. Megos Hanman, a moment if you will. Pascal turns toward you, his flickering visor betraying his anxious state. Lord Captain, He stops short when he sees the vid screen. Distorted transmissions from the data core, most likely. The residual cognitive function of the built-in servitors. Omnissiah, shield us from machine gods. He returns to manipulating the cogitator's command runes. Machine spirit, can you hear me? The cogitator's servant creaks quietly in its joints, a sound that is drowned out by the binaric rhyme hymns of the tapping of command runes. Injury, rescue, query. Yes, machine spirit, rescue us. Pascal turns to you. Lord Captain, the excessive motion in your command will render it unintelligible to... Pascal's next vocalization goes unsynthesized, as he sees the vid screens begin to stabilize one after another. The strings frenetically galloping across the green background are replaced with stable images of regularly updating status reports. Only one monitor remains inexplicably red. The tech priest's vox crackles in shock, but his report is as clipped and clinical as ever. Registering warp sextant activated. Registering. Data stream stabilizing. Registering. 0 data errors found. Reporting. The warp engine is ready for translation. After a pause, Pascal adds, I'm also reporting evidence indicating a Category 3 miracle, fulfilling the criterion thou shalt witness the mechanism that toils in it glorification of its function and in defiance of deactivation. Lord Captain, Ravor here. The crew are almost finished carrying out the orders given earlier, and I've just received confirmation from the engineering halls. I don't know what you did, but the warp engine is up and raring to go. We're ready to begin the translation to the warp, your lordship. The Lord Captain speaking, I give the order to commence translation to the warp. Waiting for you to ascend the Captain's throne, Lord Captain. May the Emperor protect us.
Von Valancia's flagship made its way out of the doomed star system. As the void ships plunged deeper into the Kronus Expanse, the rogue trader's subjects bid a formal farewell to the late head of the dynasty, Theodora von Valancius. Having paid their last respects, the crew gathered their strength and braced themselves for whatever was to come next.
I think that was the end of the prologue, perhaps. Lord Captain, allow me to report. Our journey through the warp is coming to an end. Lady Navigator Orsilio informs me that we have reached the point where we can translate to real space in the Furibundus system. The Lady Navigator and her pilots are awaiting your permission to begin the process. The Furibundus system is home to Footfall, the only Imperium outpost with a functioning wharf in the Kronus Expanse. The tech priests are begging you to have mercy on the machines worn down by the warp and allow the servants of the Omnissiah to inspect and heal the void ship's wounds in the dock. The prayers and rituals will take some time, which our astropathic choir will use to establish a connection with the prime worlds of your protectorate, Dargonus, Janus, and Kiavagama. Master Zachary Weiss has recovered an invitation previously adrift in the Immaterium. The Liege of Footfall has humbly requested an audience with the rogue trader of the von Valancius dynasty. According to Master Zachary, the message was tinted with shades of pleading. I quote, "Apparently the Liege is anxious to meet as soon as possible." Footfall. The place where filth and sanctity go hand in hand. Reverend Hieronymus Doloroso will most likely expect a visit from me. I imagine he will be interested in talking to you as well, Jabs. I'll be leaving your void ship when we arrive on Footfall, Jabs. Once that is done, consider the Lord Inquisitor's task complete. Your Lordship. Young Evane Winterscale has asked me to convey his gratitude for your hospitality and for saving him from certain death. Not wishing to outstay his welcome, he plans to disembark at Footfall. Lord Evane swears he'll not forget his debt to you. I hereby inform the rogue trader that during a comprehensive system inspection rite, this unit discovered data clusters within the captain's cogitator that are concealed from prying eyes by means of a personal cipher and a sacrament of algorithmic authorization. Unit Jabs von Valanches has been added to the access list and assigned the identifier Keeper 2. The unit can access the data from the captain's cogitator provided that he possesses the decryption key. You detect a hint of something resembling curiosity in Pascal's mechanical voice. Are you leaving us, Henrix? The arrangement between the Lord Inquisitor and your predecessor was that I be transported to Footfall and no farther. I dare not take advantage of your generosity and patience any more than I already have, Jabs. I hope we meet again. True servants of the Emperor are always welcome aboard my ship. Henrix regards you with a curious look and a polite smile. An interrogator of the Inquisition seldom gets to hear such words. Thank you for your hospitality, Jabs. I will not forget it. Argenta, who's this Reverend Hieronymus who wants to talk to me? He is head of the Drusian mission on Footfall and one of the most prominent clergymen in the sector. Paying him a visit is a good thing for any loyal servant of the Emperor to do. I assisted him in a mission before I joined Lady Theodora on her voyage. I need his blessing to accompany the new rogue trader of the Van Valanches dynasty. If you wish to have me aboard your void ship, I request that we meet with Reverend Hieronymus. Okay. Tell the Lady Navigator I give her leave to make the translation from the warp into real space. Vigdis begin issuing instructions. The massive ship appears to change with her every word. The bridge is set in motion as hundreds of people start to prepare for the shift to real space, and measured chanting fills the corridors to safeguard the vessel and its crew. Vigdis turns to you again. One more thing, Lord Captain. No one at the station knows about Lady Theodora's demise and you inheriting the title. Liege Tokara will be informed. It is required so we can use the dock, and besides he is expecting a personal audience with the rogue trader. He will not meet with an unknown personal of unclear standing. However, there is still the matter of announcing your arrival. You can either arrive on the station with the proper pomp and ceremony or choose to visit incognito. Tell me in detail how these choices will benefit me. According to Footfall's unwritten laws, rogue traders enjoy special privileges that exceed even the power of the League. However, they may choose not to exercise those privileges in certain situations. Arriving incognito will give you more room for maneuver, while an official visit will allow you to directly intervene in local affairs. I shall explain if you do not mind. As per this unwritten rule, every rogue trader arriving at the station has the right to veto any of the Liege's decisions. But there's a catch. The Kronus Expanse is home to several influential rogue trader dynasties, and Footfall is where their interests intersect. Of course, that does not prevent certain persons, namely Caligos Winterscale, from subtly pulling the strings in Footfall. If you, as a new rogue trader, start your career with an official landing and a parade in your honor, the other dynasties may see this gesture as a newcomer challenging their spheres of influence. I do not see that as a bad thing necessarily. Old Man Winterscale might take slight offense. Jorda will be put on her guard, but you've just risen to prominence and most people in the Kronus Expanse have not even heard about Lady Theodora's departure yet. It must be made clear that the banner of von Valentius soars as high as ever. If I may, I would recommend arriving incognito. You'll have plenty of opportunities to savor the sweetness and the burden of power, but right now is the last time you can take refuge in obscurity. This way your arrival will not draw much attention and the people will treat you as a person and not the almighty sovereign anointed by the Emperor. It could turn some situations to your advantage. I've decided, tell the liege I will arrive incognito. It will be done, Lord Captain. With your gracious permission, I return to my duties. Okay, I think this is going to be the end of this episode. Thanks for watching and have a really nice day.